Hello everyone and welcome to Victoria's Cantina, where today we're having a look at the Hasbro Star Wars The Black Series 6-inch Imperial AT-ACT driver Target exclusive action figure. So this is a brand new release. It's one of the new Spring 2017 exclusive figures. They're going to be appearing at a couple of stores. Now, I got really lucky with getting this one. I got the DPCI number that Target uses internally online, and then I went to BrickSeek and I was able to track those local stores that had them down. And it took a couple of visits before I was actually able to find them. But luckily at the second store, I didn't even need to ask for help or anything. They just happened to be there on the shelf, and they had quite a few of them hanging from the pegs, so I thought that was really cool. I'll throw the DPCI number down at the bottom if you want to try looking them up, and maybe you'll get lucky and find some in your area. But I'm pretty excited because I have a pretty good feeling that I'm going to like this figure. I know that I'm a huge fan of the previously released Scarf Stormtrooper in the 6-inch line. This is the exact same figure, it's just got different paint. And since that other one was one of my favorite 6-inch Black Series figures, I think that this is going to follow suit and be pretty excellent. So looking at the packaging, it's the same thing we've seen before. Typical Black Series layout, figures inside. You can see an image on the lower right, looks cool. The side of the box gives you the name of the figure. Opposite side says the same thing, and since this is an exclusive figure, there is no numerical designation. At the back, you get some information about the character as well as that image there once again. The Empire's combat drivers are trained to handle everything in the Imperial Ground Arsenal, from heavily armed AT-ATs to the more utilitarian AT-ACT walkers. And I like that image. Pretty nice artwork there of the character up here at the top. Hasbro Star Wars Black Series, and that's the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and spend a few minutes, get this guy unboxed. When we come back, we'll take a closer look at the 6-inch AT-ACT driver. Okay, and here is the figure out of the packaging. And right off the bat, it looks cool. Now, this isn't my favorite sort of decorated armor, but I think it looks pretty good. I'm glad that this isn't in the main line though, and it isn't exclusive because I do think I prefer the previously released versions. But that being said, it is based on the very awesome Scarf Stormtrooper 6-inch sculpt. So it's really not too hard to make me happy in this case. And I really like what I'm seeing here. I think it looks fantastic. Sculpt is absolutely excellent, one of Hasbro's best. The paint on the figure looks very clean, looks very nice. It's definitely a brighter white than we saw in the Scarf Stormtroopers, either the regular version or the Walmart version. So it is cool to see something different. And being a Black Series figure, of course, there's plenty of articulation. He has at least one accessory, so we're off to a good start. Here's a close-up of the figure, and like I said, it's a very nice sculpt. I really do like the look of this helmet. I think that Hasbro's done an excellent job with it. It's very proportionate to the rest of the body. It doesn't look too big, doesn't look too small. It very much looks like a helmet, and that's what we want to see. And from all angles, just looks really good. Again, this coloring is absolutely brand new and different from what we've seen before on this figure. There at the helmet, there's a little Imperial insignia right there in red. And you can see that there's another red marking here at the back. Just a pop of color on there. There's also that little red arrow. And the rest of the figure's costume has this like grayish blue sort of coloring. And you can see that there on the shoulders and a little stripe right there on his chest. A little bit more red right there. Some stripes. Overall, it looks really good. More of that grayish blue coloring in there. And very nice paint detail here at the back as well. Now, what I always love about the Scarf Stormtrooper figure is that they always give it a very nice wash. And whether we're referring to the Hover Tank Pilot that was a Toys R Us exclusive, or the Walmart exclusive Scarf Stormtrooper, or the mainline Scarf Stormtrooper Squad Leader, it's always a very nice gritty wash that they apply to the body just to make it look more detailed, more used and worn. And the same is true for the AT-ACT driver. I mean, you can definitely see that, especially here in the chest area. And one thing that's really cool is that when you look at these at the store on the shelves, is that no two are exactly the same. There's always going to be a little bit of a variation from one figure to the other as to how this wash is applied. Some have it a little bit more than others. Some have it a little bit more dispersed. So that's great. And I think that it looks really good. It's a little more subtle here in the arms, but it's definitely there. I think that just looks terrific, looks very realistic. And you see it, of course, here in these excellently sculpted boots. Very nice, worn-looking boots there. I really like the dirtied, sandy look that they have to them. The pants also look great. One of my biggest complaints with the Scarf Stormtrooper was that and this was also for the hover tank pilot, was that the pants were just too glossy. It looks like they dialed that back a little bit here. They're not too glossy. They're a little bit more matte looking, as they should be, because the pants wouldn't have been glossy in the film. So I'm really happy about that they did that. And underneath, he does have some peg holes. Just a magnificent looking figure. I mean, even if you're not a huge fan of this particular sort of decoration on his costume, I mean, there's no denying that it looks really good. Now, in terms of articulation, that is the same as before. So you do get a ball joint here at the top of the head, and you can move it very nicely. You also get a bend there at the neck, so you can move it down quite a bit. For a trooper figure, that's pretty great. It goes up quite a bit. You can tilt it. Very nice. Ball joints at both of these shoulders, and they're not hindered in the least. You can rotate them in every which way direction. You get ball hinging at both of the elbows, so you can bend those very nicely. Goes a full 90 degrees. You can rotate it. You get bends and swivels at both of the wrists. This one will go forward and back, and then the other one goes up and down, giving you some options for display. You do have a ball joint here at the torso. It's a little bit tight, but it does help a little bit with posing. Here at the hips, you do get ball hinging, and as with before, they don't really go up all that high. That's about as much as you're going to get, which it seems to be sufficient, but I guess it would have been nice if you could do the full split. Going forward, you do go forward all the way. You also get swivels at the thighs. You get your double bends at both of the knees, so you can get a very nice amount of movement there. Then at the ankles, you have a bend, you have a rocker swivel. It's very nice. So overall, just a very nicely articulated figure. Now, in the way of accessories, we do get the Imperial issue blaster that these figures tend to come with most of the time. And I think it looks pretty good. There's a little bit of silver paint on it. A very simple weapon, and it would have been nice if it came with more accessories, but I'm not complaining. The figure is just so awesome that... Okay, now here's a comparison of all 4 versions of this figure, side by side, starting with the hover tank pilot, which was the Toys R Us exclusive figure from last fall, which actually has the most in common with the latest version, the AT-ACT driver. You can see that the bodies are completely the same, which is the case for all 4 of the figures, but the little cama belt on the hover tank pilot is the same as we have on the AT-ACT driver. The 2 Scarf Stormtroopers here in the middle, the mainline release right there, Squad Leader, and then the Walmart exclusive Grunt Trooper have different versions of that camo belt on there. It is really cool to see all of these side by side. I really love this figure, and I don't really care which version we're talking about. They're all great, especially these 3 over here, because I love that helmet. It's like my favorite thing since the original trilogy. And particularly the 2 Scarf Stormtroopers right here. I love those. I love the darker paint coloration. I love the gritty look that they have to their costumes, which all of them have, but just those 2 in particular, I just think they look so awesome. And as I was saying earlier, there is more of a matte look to the pants on here. They're not quite as glossy as what you're going to see on these other figures, which I think is great and an improvement. And the AT-ACT driver is also a much more vibrant, bright white color than any of the other figures. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so there you have it. This is the Hasbro Star Wars, the Black Series 6-inch Imperial AT-ACT driver Target exclusive action figure. Overall, you guys, I really like the figure. Like I said, it wasn't going to be hard for them to satisfy me in this particular instance because I'm a huge fan of the Scarf Stormtrooper sculpt and the helmet, and they could have painted it pink and I probably would have loved it. I mean, that's the honest truth. In this case, I think it looks really good. The paint is definitely different than what we've seen before. And these guys do appear very briefly in Rogue One, driving the AT-ACT walker just for a very split second, but they are there. And interestingly, the Imperial Hover Tank Pilot Commander has the exact same coloration on the body, or at least it's very, very close to being exactly the same. So time will tell if we're going to see that version or if we're going to get the Scarf Stormtrooper Captain that I think they're kind of overdue at this point for putting out there. I really hope that makes it into the main line at some point, or, you know, at the very least as an exclusive somewhere. That way we can round those out. But yeah, I mean, if Hasbro wanted to keep making more of these, I can't say I wouldn't buy them because I'm sure that I would. I just love this figure so much. Even though I prefer the paint scheme on the Scarf Stormtroopers, I think that this fits in very nicely on the shelf, especially if you got a little Rogue One kind of display going on. And if so, you're going to love this figure. I mean, it's a trooper. It's different than what you already have. I mean, you just kind of need it in your collection. I know I did. very happy that I got 2 of them. And as an exclusive figure, I think that it's great. Alright my friends, if you've enjoyed this video, please do give us a like, please do subscribe, let me know your own thoughts down below. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and as always, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to Victoria's Cantina. Until next time my friends, bye bye.